Australians might hope that on matters as important as national security, the major parties could put politics aside and focus on the strategic challenges ahead. Well, Labor's Defence Minister Richard Marles showed this week that there would be nothing like bipartisanship ahead.
This is a desperate attempt to try and talk about everything other than the actual failings of this government, which is the worst national security government that we have seen.
Perhaps Mr Marles needs a reality check. Just this week, Coalition frontbencher Andrew Hastie said he saw firsthand during his service the way that the ADF was run into the ground by the Rudd-Gillard-Rudd governments from 2007 to 2013.
Richard Marles, I think, overcooked it massively this week. It was ridiculous what he said. He said the coalition was the worst national security government in history, which is just absolutely ridiculous, considering that from 2013 to 2021, we increased defence spending by 55% in real terms.
Mr Hastie is right. The fact is, Labor drove defence spending to its lowest level since 1938, before World War II, to just 1.56% of gross domestic product. The Coalition, in contrast, increased defence investment by 55% in real terms over the decade that it took to repair the damage. Under the Coalition, ADF numbers grew, morale improved, and the AUKUS agreement was struck, providing for greater cooperation between like-minded partner nations. Tough decisions were taken on helicopters, investment was made in cyber and space capability, and nuclear submarines were ordered. This is what will make Australia secure in a changing world. I'd love to know the criteria against which Mr Marles measures success and failure, because the facts tell a very different story than that he was peddling in Question Time and in Parliament this week. Similarly, before the election, Labor's Christina Keneally promised over and over again that Labor supported the Coalition's firm approach to border security and would not water down deterrence for people smugglers to get back in business. Well, Labor have now moved to scrap temporary protection visas for 19,000 people who arrived in Australia as illegal maritime arrivals, boat people, prior to the establishment of Operation Sovereign Borders in 2013, and will offer them pathways to permanent residency. Every single one of these people paid a criminal people smuggler a fortune to push their way into Australia. The government also scrapped ministerial directions that placed restrictions on the ability of people who illegally arrived in Australia by boat to make applications for family reunion visas. Temporary protection visas and restrictions on the privileges extended to those who use legal channels to enter Australia are really important to sending a clear message to the rest of the world that Australia isn't about to be played at its borders. But already, Labor are dismantling this effective and proven strategy. Peter Dutton said this week that Labor's moves would, quote, incentivise people smugglers. Well, let's hope we don't have to relive the experience of the Rudd-Gillard-Rudd years. But here's perhaps the worst part. Surge support in the form of additional aircraft surveillance and patrol ships was revealed in Senate estimates to have been already ordered before the policy was changed. That means the government and its agencies knew in advance that policy changes they were about to make would mean boats start getting on our shores, arriving again. They knew it before they made the changes, and they did it anyway. We will never forget. Under the last Labor government, 51,000 people arrived illegally on our shores on some 800 boats. That's just the ones we know of. 8,400 of those people were children. 1,200 of them died tragically at sea. Hundreds of those children. The Coalition stopped the flow of boats while still offering the second most generous refugee intake in the entire world but safely. There were no children in detention by the time I sat at the estimates bench. 0. There is no compassion in encouraging a person to pay a people smuggler, to encourage them to board a leaky boat and risk dying at sea. Dutton was right this week to call Labor's approach Operation Sloppy Borders.